Welcome back to the shop. My name is Jamie. So far we've been working on the idler pulley and the belt tensioner pulley. The way that this works is the belt comes down, loops around, the tensioner pulley comes around this drive pulley and around the idler, and the weight of this pulls down on that belt to give it the right tension as the drive head moves up and down. But the drive pulley was put on in such a way that it's put on with a hammer, looks like, judging by these hammer marks. And when it was fully seated, I've since pulled it off, but it had a dramatic amount of run out here, the way that it was just put on crooked. The sleeve on the inside has seen much better days, so we're going to push that guy out, replace the sleeve. The motor drive shaft does have a keyway in it. Not sure if I'll be able to replicate that. So I will need to think about a way that I'm going to mount this to the drive shaft. Maybe a set screw that fits down inside that keyway. Maybe I can get a channel in there to do it the right way with a keyway and then a set screw so it doesn't slide out. But that will be a first for me, like the rest of this project, so that won't be too bad. All right, so a quick check on this thing. If we take it over to the lathe, we can see that it actually itself runs pretty true. So I'm just gonna give it a quick drop here in the 3-jaw chuck and fire this up. So as long as I can keep the interior shaft square and true, I should be in pretty good shape to take that wobble out when we install it back here on the surface grinder. So let's take a closer look now at what that, I want to start with the shaft on the motor, of what that runout looks like. Let's see what we can see here. And this shaft has seen better days. It's very banged up, but let's just take a look and see if this tells us anything. Drop out of the keyway. Watch out for that keyway. That'll change your everything. Okay, so let's zero this guy out. Okay, we're at 0. 2 thou. 2.5, back to 1, all the way up to 3, 2, okay. Judging, how badly this thing is beaten up, it's been pretty well hammered on. To only be off that much, actually somewhat happy with that. And quite honestly, there's not a lot I can do about it. What I think I might do is run some emery cloth over it, clean it up. It does look like it was hammered on a bit, so See if we can do something there to make it so that the next, when I put that pulley back on, it runs a little bit cleaner. Moved ever so slightly, but not too much. And my custom press tool here got kind of wedged in there. I'm going to try to go back the other way a little bit and see what that does. This sleeve was in pretty rough shape. Goes away. Yeah, so my sockets come out. You can see it got a little bit crooked in there. I think that was causing it to bind up. I'm going to go ahead and push this guy back in a bit. So it definitely seems like it's moving okay. And I've got a slightly smaller that will drop in there and see how that guy does. Sleeve can slide right through. Oh yeah, there it is. That's always a great feeling when it releases finally. You kind of know it when it happens. You know when it's not working. All right, so there's that. And then bring back our okay, it's going in nice and smooth. I can see it come out the bottom here, so we look like we're in good shape. That sleeve is almost out. It's going in really easy here, so I know, oh, there it is. We're not forcing anything. That is aluminum. What a mess that is. That explains a lot. That explains a lot. All right. So here we are. We've got our pulley ready to get re-sleeved and put on the motor. Oh, that's interesting. Look at that. That almost looks like that hole is off center. That could be causing the wobble. Bring it on the lathe and we'll check it out. So I checked this pulley back up on the 3-jaw just to quickly take a look, and we've got just about 8 thou worth of runout. Now that could definitely be the 3-jaw. We're gonna check the bore here, and then we'll probably get this up on the 4-jaw chuck and try to zero it in the best we can. So I know this setup here is going to give me a lot of sign error, I believe it's called, because I have the indicator here at an angle. But you can see that this guy it's all over the place. So we're out 10, 20, 30, 35 thousandths. Again, that is at an angle, but that does tell me that this interior bore just does not seem like it's centered on the where the drive shaft would go. So it's going to have a natural wobble. So I think we'll chuck this up on the forejaw, get it trued up, and then we'll bore out the middle so that it's true to the exterior of the pulley. All right, probably the best forejaw draw dial-in that I've done. Less than a thou of runout on this part of the shaft. And so let's bring it over to the pulley and see what that looks like. So as we just saw, this part of the shaft is dialed right in, but we're getting about 10 or 11 thou of runout on this pulley. So that's something to think about, because this is a crowned pulley. There's no way I'm going to go turning that. But while we're here, let's, even though it's imperfect, let's test the runout on the inside of this, on the inside of the pulley here, and see what that looks like. Just to try to piece together the facts, and then we'll decide what our course of action is. All right, so that's off by about 14 thou. Okay. All right. Okay, so I've got some thinking to do here. If I think out loud for a minute, this runout, let's see, we need to align the outer pulley with the inner. The runout here on this outer portion of the back is irrelevant. So I think what I'll do now is I will dial the forejaw in on the outside of this part of the pulley, and then test to see versus the inside how it looks. All right, so now I've dialed in the pulley, which is it's a critical piece here. We don't want a lot of vibration as that belt's whipping around. So that's a pretty good result. And again, let's check the inside. Again, just kind of thinking out loud here. I'm pretty comfortable that at this point, I could bore out the interior so that it lines up here. If I know that this is true, then I can bore out the interior to match it. All right, so let's get this guy in here and see how it looks. Yeah, so that's off by about 24 thousandths. That's a lot. That's a lot. And that would explain, that wobbling that I was seeing. So I think the plan right now is we're going to leave it mocked up the way it is, get the boring bar on here, and we're going to take out some of that middle and get this trued up. One other thing I want to show you is again, this was the sleeve that was in there, this aluminum piece, and it left some remnants behind. Don't know if we'll be able to see it, but we're going to try. It's hard to see it. But oh, there it is. You can kind of see right around the edge of that yellow light there. You can see there's still some aluminum in there. So we're going to clean up this whole thing. We'll make a nice interior diameter that's consistent with the pulley, and we'll take that wobble right out of this thing. Since that last clip ended, it's been a couple of days. I found out I needed a new boring bar. The bar that I have here, by comparison, is much too small to get the length that I needed. So it was about time to step up, buy something a little bit bigger. I picked this up on Amazon. The next day delivery is pretty amazing for stuff like this. I'll post a link in the description of what I bought here. This is a 3/4 inch bar, and then the holder takes 3/4 and it goes up to 1 inch. It's a round holder. So I'm just going to do a quick setup here. I want to check to make sure that my depth and clearances are okay. Okay, the goal of what we're doing here, we're going to clean out the inside diameter of this pulley. It's 1.06, so about just over 1 inch, and I've got a piece of stock that's 1.12 that we're going to use as a bushing that will press in there, and that piece of stock will bore out the middle to accept the drive pulley on the surface grinder. And so right now I can feel it, halfway in is the remnants of that aluminum that was there. So I'm just going to touch off on this, and then we'll bring it all the way in, and about halfway through, I'm sure we'll be able to feel it as it's taking out that, again, what I think is aluminum that was stuck there in the bore. So it's not aluminum, but there was some sort of steel remnants on the inside. All right, so it feels, definitely feels much better. Still not quite where we want it. So we'll go ahead and take another pass. We're going to bump the speed up a little bit. Carbide tends to like things a little faster. All right, so that still has a ridge in it, so we're going to take a little bit more out. We'll try a couple spring passes to see if that does it. And then we're going to tune the pipe to fit this. Just want to get this guy nice and clean. Again, I can feel it as I put my hand in there. There's a little ridge that's just not letting go. There's still a little small ridge in there. It's about to here, when the shaft that we're going to be sliding in is really only needs to be that far anyway, because of where this will sit on the engine shaft, drive shaft. So I think we are in, I think we'll be in good shape. The inside diameter here is 1.08 inches. So we're going to bring this down to just over that. So we'll have a nice press fit for that. And then the drive shaft on the motor is 0.75 inches. So we'll put a 0.75 here. We want that to have, some clearance so we can put it on and adjust it. And we'll use some set screws to hold it in place. I don't have a keyway broach, nor the skills to do that at this point. So we'll put a couple of set screws in there. I think that'll work nicely. All right, that's the plan. Let's get to it. All right, you can see a couple of things going on there. I feel like there is not a great grip here. It's not quite getting on the tip of this tool. So I'm going to rotate it slightly. So that the tip is the leading edge, and see how that works. Because before it just felt like it was pressing it itself as opposed to cutting. So let's try that. Yeah, we don't have much room left before we run out of material, so I want to be careful there. We're at 84, and we want to get down to 81. So let's be careful about how much material we take here. So just hit it lightly. So that's 84. And that is 82, 81, 82. And I know I've been fighting the lathe. It's not totally, it's giving me some odd readings. So that side feels pretty good. So I think we'll hit it. I think we'll hit it with a little bit of a spring pass and see what that does. You know what? I think we're going to leave it right here. I think we're going to leave it right here. It's pretty hot, so it's going to cool off. And so we'll move on next to drilling the center hole. Picked this guy up at a yard sale. Let's see how well it works. Be at 3/4 inch. Since it doesn't need to be a perfect fit, I'm going to go ahead and use a drill. Otherwise we'd bore it. But also knowing how it's not that easy to bore out the exact dimension, I think the drill would be just as good. This rough estimate of inside how long we're going here. Perfect. Want to be just about 2.5. And I've got this nice, this is a 3/4 inch drill. We'll give this a try. Let's see, did we get the depth we needed? I don't think so. You know what I'm going to do? Because I actually want to get a little bit more length, and this is not a critical mention. I'm going to pop this off. And just slide it out just a whisker. It doesn't have to be totally perpendicular, but I want to get just a little bit more. Okay. All right, let's lock the carriage. Gonna get this going even slower. And away we go. Yeah, I was afraid that might happen. I took my cut a little bit too much in the wrong direction. So I'll have to fix that. I'm sure we can do it, but let's take a look just to see how we're doing on the fit. All right, so it's a little bit snug right now. This has, I think this is kind of mushroomed. I think the shaft is mushroomed a little bit. Not quite, but it does almost want to go on. All right, well, let's take care of this problem here, and we'll drive through with the drill to get the whole thing to 3/4 inch. actually going to put that in loose, just enough to hold it. We'll slide the drill in there to center it. All right. Back the drill out. There we go. All right, 3/4 inch on both sides. So as I think through the order of operations here for the next couple of steps. So I have the drive pulley, I've got my bushing, and then I need to make sure that the bushing will fit here on this drive shaft. It should fit sort of loose. I don't want it to be too tight. It should just kind of be a snug fit. And then we'll use this keyway here with some set screws that will drill and tap through the pulley in order to hold it all together. But if anything, as I'm looking at this, I can get a good start here. But what I remember from the last time we've been pushing things through bushings is the interior dimension gets smaller. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press this into the pulley, then bring it back to the lathe, measure, and see if I need to re-drill this again with a 3/4 inch drill to try to get it, back to the proper size. And then we might address this with some some emery cloth or a file as it's running to try and just take it down just a little bit. Let's see how that goes on the press. So before we head off to the press, what I want to do is line up to show. So I've got a straight edge down on the idler pulley so that we can see what plane the pulley needs to be in so that I can make sure that the depth is proper. So if I use that straight edge as a guide, I'm going to want my pulley to be right about there, which means I'm going to have about this much engagement, which means as this guy goes in, I'm going to want to stop right about here. So we're going to leave that much stick out, and that will give me the most amount of meat inside the pulley that's actually, puts it where it needs to be in relation to the idler and the tensioner pulley, but then also gives me a little bit more leverage when it comes to the pulley holding on to that shaft. All right, here goes. Feels like it's going in pretty well. All right, that was slick. So the motor drive shaft, it's got a little bit of mushrooming on the end of it. So I've moved this over. My extension cord here is only so long. There's plenty of distance here, so it's as safe as this could be. And I'm just going to hit this a bit with the file and try to take down that high side. Better. It's still not right. Okay, we'll keep at it. So I'm going to hit this drive spindle with some emery cloth. One option would be to take this setup and put it back up on the lathe, but my ability to get that concentric, maintain its concentricity with the pulley, knowing my machine, knowing my skill, limited. My ability to safely put some emery cloth on this spindle and bring it down just probably 1 or 2 thou is a much better likely outcome. This motor seems like it's got great bearings in it, runs very smooth. Really happy about that. And that noise, if you can hear it in the background, is my 3-phase generator. Yeah, we're getting there. Just needs a little bit more. Okay, so a little bit of sandpaper or emery on the drive spindle here, and I ended up pushing the bushing down in a bit more because I was getting back into this deeper part of the spindle where the dimension really flares out. So I was unable to get it in there nicely. So now we're in a situation where I can get it in. It's nice and snug. And then with my straight edge, I can line up the pulley right where I need it. So that section of the work is done. Next we're going to move to drilling and tapping some holes for the set screws. This is in here nice and tight. And let's see how well this drill works. Always nice when you have the right tool for the job. All right, now let's slide this guy over and put another hole right here. Couple of holes. Now we're going to tap this by hand. right, they work. This one works. And this one does too. Great. All right, let's get this over onto the surface grinder. There's one. And there's two. Okay. So the set screws are in, so that unless it's lined up with the keyway, they will not go, pulley will not go on. And so let's see. All right, good. All right, so they are both within the channel. Next, we're going to take the straight edge and use this to line up the pulley. So that we have it on at the right distance. There. Let's check this. Go in just a hair bit more. So that looks pretty good. And with the belt tensioner pulley, it's also lined up pretty well. All right, good. So now what we'll do is we're going to pull one of these set screws out. We're going to put some Loctite on there and then put the other set screw in. It'll be great. All right, so there it is. Yep, still got a little wobble to it, but that is better than it was.